Welcome to Mellow_Magikarp's YouTube channel. Today, we're going to be doing the players' Cupdate for week number 1. So week number 1's in the books. We're going to talk a little bit about like what the metas looked like, what some of the point totals are at, how I've been doing, all that kind of stuff. So just a bit of an update. Some of you are probably going to be like, oh, I've noticed this stuff, watching streamers, stuff like that. That's totally fine. But this is what I've noticed. I've been watching streamers, talking to people who play, stuff like that. So let's go ahead and take a look. The first thing is, where is top 256 at? So top 256 for NA is currently at 50, Europe 30, LATAM 22, and Oceania top 128 is at 15 rep. Now, these numbers don't actually matter because there are people who have used all 50 keys and there are people who have used like 2 keys. But it is important to keep, well, I don't know if it's important, but for those of you that stress about it, which is a fair amount of us, it is relevant to keep track of how it increases over time. Because there are currently people on the leaderboard with, over about 150 rep at the top of NA, for example, and they're done with all 50 keys. But 150 is a massive, massive, massive number. They're probably going to stay at the top for the majority of the time. This is going to give us a general idea. I think my predictions from last video are still about right, which is in the mid 90s for NA, Europe and LATAM probably in the high 70s, although this might mean Europe. So last time Europe and LATAM were kind of like together. This one, I'm not sure if those 8-point difference is just more keys used, or if there's going to be an actual difference this time around. Europe might hit into the 80s. We'll see about that. And Oceania is actually just plain gonna be higher than it's ever been. I don't know if they finally advertised in, that area or not, because yeah, 15 is the highest it's ever been, and it's only 1 week into it. So it's getting more competitive there, which is very nice because some of the best players in the world live there. But this is kind of where we're at. If you're not at this number yet, that's fine. I mean, if you used all 50 keys, you live in NA, you have 50 rep, you're not going to make it. I'm sorry. But if you're like, oh, I've got 40 rep right now, but I have 20 keys left, that's fine. You're doing totally fine. You don't got to worry about that. Like, 20 keys can get you a lot of stuff, So if you have keys left, this is just something to keep in mind, but I would not stress at all about where you're at if you've still got keys left. Most popular decks, it did not look very surprising. ADPZ appears to be the most popular. Now, there are plenty of people who are like, I've used 10 keys and I haven't hit a single ADP. That's going to happen. That's just going to happen to some people. Some people are going to hit ADP every single key. It appears to be out there quite a bit. I'd be prepped for it. Eternatus is a lot more prevalent than I thought it was going to be, though. I've seen a lot of Eternatus out there, and I'm a big Eternatus fan. I think it's very, very good at this meta right now. And in the right hands, I think Eternatus is an absolutely broken deck. So I guess I shouldn't be surprised that it's been as popular as it has, but there's been a lot of Eternatus. Like, seeing people are hitting Eternatus at almost the same rate as ADPZ. Pikarom is right there with it. And then there's a bit of a drop off before we get to Centiskorch. So there's a fair amount of Centiskorch, but not a lot. And then there's a pretty big drop off before you get to the Baby Blounds, Luke Metal, Decigoons, single prize shenanigans like Excadrill or Mad Party and stuff like that. So I would put money on you hitting the top 3 decks significantly more and hit a fair amount of Centiskorch as well. And then, you'll hit the random stuff here and there, even if it's not random. Like, Luke Metal is a very, very good deck. It just does not seem to be played in particularly high amounts right now. I'm not sure why that is at all. It's a fairly boring deck to play, I suppose. It's a fairly difficult deck to play. And taking a hard loss to Fire feels pretty bad in a single elimination tournament, but that could change. We have seen Luke Metal have success. One of the players in top 5 for NA right now played exclusively Luke Metal and, got like 130, 140 rep. So it is a good deck. But these are the things that I would expect to run into. The first 3 in very high numbers, Centiskorch on a decent amount, and then everything else that you can imagine is kind of down there and you'll hit it occasionally. So the best plays, this is kind of the big deal of like, why are we looking at the apparent decks? I don't think it matters a ton. The people at the top who are telling us what they've played have played a variety of decks. So we've seen a Luke Metal player have a ton of success making assumptions on the players currently in number 1 and number 3. They, I think, are both played a decent amount of Son of Scorch, or at least the one tournament I saw the top player play in, they were playing Son of Scorch. And the number 3 player at the time of recording tends to lean towards Son of Scorch as well. So that's seen a pretty decent amount of success. We've seen several players actually who are near the top say I played ADP for 50 keys or 45 keys. ADP seeing success. Pikarom, several Pikarom players are having a ton of success right now, even though they haven't finished all 50 of their keys. I've seen a lot of people with Pikarom averaging 2 to 3 points per key. So there's a lot. It seems to be, as long as you're playing a very good deck, playing one of the tier 1 decks, you know it well. That's a super big deal. You know it well, you know its matchups, it's a consistent deck, you will do fine. Watching the Players' Cup, watching other streamers do it, there are a lot of people making suboptimal plays this time around. So Players' Cup 3 seems to have more players who are a bit newer than Players' Cup 2 did. Players' Cup 2, the amount of misplays, they exist. They definitely exist. Don't get me wrong. But there seem to be less large misplays happening, less like just major errors in game plans than is currently happening. And I think that's going to cause a very big and generally positive effect for a lot of us. I assume most of you watching the deck that you have, you know it very well. So you are at a general advantage over a lot of players because a lot of players will make small errors or large errors that you will be able to take advantage of. Now, of course, this could also mean that the bubble for points is going to be very high this time around. So we'll see. It feels good to kind of be like, okay, people are making a little bit more mistakes than they did in the past one, or it appears that they are, but also, this might mean that it's a bit more of a bloodbath at the top. And for me, I'm between Pikarom and Eternus. I'm going to start my keys today, and I'm not sure which one I want to play. They're both fine decks. Like, they're both good. I know them well, so we'll see about that. Speaking of which, my update, I've used 0 keys and 0 reps. It's not a race. I didn't want to play Pokemon last week. That was my general thing. If you follow my Twitch, I was doing a Nuzlocke. If you're interested in Nuzlocke, you should follow, because I'm going to keep doing it. But we're going to switch between mostly TCG and then do the Nuzlocke once or twice a week. But anyway, yeah, I was just kind of like, I don't really want to do this. And so I didn't. And fun fact, I don't have to. I could finish it later. There's 3 more weeks left to finish these 50 keys. And that's plenty of time. The amount of people who finished in 1 week should remind you, you can wait if you want to. I wouldn't wait too long. You don't want to wait till the last weekend, because that's a lot of Pokemon. But you don't have to start it yet. If you use 10 keys and you're like, I'm tired of this right now, that's fine. Be tired of it. Like, come back later. You're not in a rush. You don't get more points for finishing faster, and that's a big deal. Yeah, but I will be starting my race. My Players' Cup run today, is Tuesday, the day this video releases, and I'll be continuing it throughout the week on my Twitch channel, so make sure you drop a follow. Like I said, I'll be doing Eternatus or Pikarom. We'll see how many keys I use. It kind of depends. If I hit bad hands, bad breaks at the start, I will just stop and be like, let's not do this right now. And that's something I recommend to everyone. If you're hitting bad breaks, you're drawing poorly, just be like, you know what? I'm done for now. I'll pick it back up in an hour tomorrow. Maybe even 10 minutes. It depends. You know yourself. So don't be afraid to do that. But I will be starting it and hopefully doing pretty well. So if you want, drop a follow. Anyway, thank you all for watching. We're going to have more videos on this channel about Players' Cup 3 decks. I have a mentality video coming up. I kind of alluded a little bit to burnout. I was pretty burnt out last week, and so I just stopped playing. And so I think, given the nature of the Players' Cup and key tournaments and the current standard format, that's going to be one of my upcoming videos as well, just talking about, how to stay on track with all this. So make sure you hit the subscribe button, as the YouTubers tend to say, and I will catch you all in the next video. Peace out.